You've probably clicked on this video because you want to lose weight. We've all been there. But what I think you mean is that you want to lose fat. Weight loss and fat loss are surprisingly two very different things. Fat loss is when you're shrinking down fat cells in the body as your body uses the contents for energy, whereas weight loss can be many different things. Weight is built up of muscle, water, fat, bones, and so many other things. When we see the number on the scale go down, we want to make sure this is fat loss and not water or muscle. When we see the number on the scale, we can't tell how much of that is fat, muscle, bone density, or just the contents in our stomach at that time. Now, some scales are this snazzy, but they're not always the most accurate, so even then it's not giving you a very well-rounded number. This means it can be hard to tell if the number is going down because of fat loss or whether it is something else. But let's dive into why the number on the scale might be going down, but your fat loss does not seem to be. Things affect your weight on a daily basis. It can be as simple as hormones changing throughout the day, or the meal you had for dinner and how salty it is. And the saltier the food is, the more likely you are to hold water weight. And of course, just eating food and drinking water day to day will result in a heavier weight when you stand on the scale. These factors and so many more cause your weight to fluctuate on a daily basis when you jump on the scale. So let's start with water weight. As we have already mentioned, it can be down to how much salt you've eaten the day before or on that day. The more salt you eat, the more water your body will hold on to. Salt can be very dehydrating to the body, and the body needs so much water. It is mainly made out of water. So to counteract this, it will hold on to as much water as it can. And you may find that you feel more thirsty than usual, and your body will be pushing you to drink more water to keep you hydrated and stop you dehydrating. Make sure you're drinking water throughout the day so your body knows that there is never a shortage of water and you're constantly providing your body what it needs. If you feel thirsty, you are already dehydrated to some extent. Another aspect of water weight is how many carbohydrates you eat. Studies have shown that for each gram of carbohydrate consumed, the body holds on to 3 grams of water. So you may have experienced before that when you switch to a low carb diet, you lose a lot of weight very quickly. But this is just water weight due to the fact that you are not consuming as many carbohydrates, which means it is sadly not fat loss. This can be quite misleading because you can think your new diet is working when actually as soon as you go back to a normal diet, you might put all that weight back on. In my personal opinion, I would not recommend to cut down on carbs, so please don't think this is me telling you to cut down on carbs to make the weight go down, because of course, as we know, it's not always fat loss when you cut the carbs. And carbohydrates are very important for the body, and they are a very important source for the body. Your body needs both water and carbohydrates to survive. And to lose weight, you do not need to cut out any major food groups. Next up, muscle weight. Muscles are so important for the body, and without muscles, your heart wouldn't be beating right now. Muscles keep you alive every day, and without them we'd be a heap of bones on the floor, being absolutely useless. But the other great thing about muscles is that they need a lot of calories to keep functioning throughout the day. The more muscles you have, the more calories your body will burn every day. However, it is important to remember that muscles can actually break down as well as be built up. So it's important to make sure the number on the scales is not going down because you are losing muscle mass. But how does losing muscle mass happen? One way is through not eating enough protein, which means the muscles can't be built or maintained, which can lead to muscle loss. This is very common in fad diets or crash diets because crash diets are very low in calories and usually very low in protein, which results in the body breaking down muscle for energy. To prevent this from happening while you are losing weight, make sure you are consuming enough protein. Now, you don't need to have a huge amount. The general rule of thumb is 0.8 grams to 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. Another reason for muscle breakdown can just simply be not using your muscles enough. And this can be very common in a low calorie diet. How many times have we felt absolutely exhausted and we just want to come home from work, lay in bed and do nothing else for the rest of the day? This means you are moving around less and you are unlikely to get workouts in and use those muscles. It is important whilst losing weight to try and maintain your muscle mass, so make sure you are getting enough protein and you're doing some form of resistance exercises every week. The more muscles you have, the more calories you burn and the more opportunity there is for you to burn fat. So prioritising your muscles is definitely a good thing to do whilst trying to lose weight. Another thing that can affect your weight and your muscle mass is how much sleep you get. Sleep is incredibly important for the recovery of the body, and if you are not giving yourself enough sleep, your body can become stressed, and when it is stressed, it produces a hormone called cortisol. This cortisol can make you feel like you need to eat lots of high fat, high sugary foods to give you energy. And I'm sure we've all experienced this where we haven't had much sleep the night before and then the next day we are craving those high fat, high sugary foods, which are all fine in moderation, but if you are on a little rampage where you are just ravenous, it can be detrimental to your weight loss journey. And if you don't get enough sleep, you are also more likely to be very tired and not likely to move around as much or work out, and that will mean that your muscles aren't necessarily being maintained because they are not giving them the love and care they need. So make sure you are getting enough rest and enough sleep to keep your body in the tip-top condition that it needs to be in. So overall, to lose fat and not other forms of weight such as muscle or water weight, we need to put all of these things into place. So ignoring the whole calorie deficit side of things, which is incredibly important, there are these other factors we need to look out for, such as drinking lots of water, resting, sleeping, eating sufficient protein and moving the body around. You do need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight, but this doesn't need to be a big calorie deficit, and it's important to make sure it is not too big because it will cause the issues we've mentioned in this video, such as muscle loss. This is why it is so important to lose weight healthily and safely and sustainably, so that we are losing fat loss and not any of the other weight components in the body that are so important. So make sure you are losing weight the smart way. If you are struggling to stay motivated with your weight loss journey right now, then check out this video here for my tips on how to stay motivated, especially when you aren't seeing the results you want. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!